that we all converge in this venue to discuss a very, very important topic, the menace of drug abuse, particularly among and the entire population of the state. This was carried out through a maiden edition of the annual dialogue instituted by the Ghana Consultative Forum under the headship of patriotic citizens of the state, Alhaji Aminu Abubakar Musa and his team. And today, by the special grace of Allah, we are gathered here with another discussion through the second edition of the annual dialogue. And as God will have it, the topic for this discussion is very apt and timely. It is about strategies for poverty eradication in Katsina State. It is our collective view that there is no better topic at this moment than this very one. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a qualified, highly reputable academic that do justice to this topic is invited as guest speaker, and we have a line of speakers that will speak afterwards. But before the program commences properly, I want to crave your indulgence to invite Malam Musbahu Naiya to kindly lead us in an opening prayer. Bismillah.
وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. الحمد لله.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, before I invite the first to speak to us, I've just been informed that the chairman of this occasion, Waziri Katsina, is wearing several caps. Besides being the chairman of the occasion, he is also representing His Royal Highness the Emir of Katsina. Can we please appreciate him for that? The Sardaunan Katsina, I also want to use this opportunity to warmly welcome you. He has been with us all through since morning, and so are other several dignitaries that are with us. We all warmly welcome you. There is a person that is saddled the responsibility of welcoming all of us here, and that is the chairman of the Katsina Consultative Forum, under whose auspices the entire activity is being carried out. It is my honor and privilege to at this moment invite Alhaji Aminu Abubakar Musa to set the ball rolling by welcoming dignitaries here. The chairman.
Nigeria, Dr. Hadi Turuka, who happens to be my senior brother, Your Excellency Madam Murtuku Komororata, the Governor of Katsina State, aptly represented by the SSC of the state. His Highness the Emir of Katsina, Alhaji Dr. Mulk Usman, is also ably represented by the Wazir of Katsina, Dr. Ibrahim India, who happens to be the chairman of the association also. The representative of His Highness Emir of Daura, Alhaji Dr. Umar Farouk, members of the Federal and State Parliament here present, members of the Katsina State Council here present, and then again, also the chairman of the occasion again, the Wazir of Katsina, the Ibrahim Ida, COS, Wazir of Katsina, Thomas Metal, Senator of Nigeria, and a child Yes, Speaker, Martin Usman, MD, Chief Executive Officer of Burak and Capital Limited, and former Chief Executive Officer of the Bank Nigeria PLC. Members of the President Forum, distinguished persons, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I would like to, on behalf of the members of the Forum, start by sending a warm honor to the second edition of the Forum Distinguished Public Lecture Series under the theme Strategies for Poverty Eradication in Katsina State. This year's lecture focuses on effective strategies for poverty eradication in our dear state. It is without doubt that poverty is a significant challenge to the development of our dear state, particularly as mentioned down factors such as poor educational standards, insecurity, high unemployment, and low productivity continue to fuel the way at which the financial health of our people is deteriorating. This council therefore examines social conditions of the state within the context of integrated Nigeria, identify specific and general elements that negatively affect the socio-economic conditions, and propose strategies that can establish global solutions that effectively alleviate poverty in our dear state. These strategies will focus on practical and sustainable development approaches that cover agricultural transformation, improving self education, skill acquisition, development of small and medium enterprises, social security programs, and good governance. I have no doubt you will agree with me that those fighting economic conditions in the country pose a significant challenge. Focused local intervention by state government, capital of industries, and other stakeholders will, in no small measure, improve financial health of our people and address many livelihood challenges we face in the state. Distinguished guests, it's only natural that after the process of menace of drug abuse in society during our major lecture last year, the policy to reduce poverty in the state, which is a pillar that drives this towards drug use and addiction. It is our conclusion to effectively address the challenge posed by drug qualification. The citizens must find meaning to their life, and this can only be achieved when they can comfortably secure their basic financial needs and have guarantee of the security of their lives and properties. It is this light, therefore, that the Cabinet of the Board sets to provoke discussion in this important topic. These assembly of individuals who are experts in their areas in order to provide the system of potential recommendation on the way forward. The objective is to harvest ideas that will shape policy outcomes of the general well-being of our state. Accordingly, we are happy to have on our own here who will continue to be to support in this journey of building a better state. Finally, we believe the presence of all the participants here will add immense value to this event, and we are privileged to have you here. The lecture and the subsequent discussion that we are about to witness will, inshallah, set a course in identify the effective ways of causing poverty in our society and potentially hinder our people to economic development, economic empowerment, and several lives. In addition, policymakers will be providing time for nurturing initiatives that will drive economic development by making it to reach steps. To count from the key activities of growth follows the main dollar tax in 2022. Alhamdulillah, we have been able to achieve the following during the year. We have an interactive session against fraud and social abuse here by FM Radio on 2nd January 2024. We also sponsored a 3-month campaign against fraud and social abuse aired by Radio on 2nd January 2024. We organized platform meetings on fraud and social abuse for 160 benefits awarded under the mechanism of the Federal We also sponsored an anti-drug collaboration with anti-drug campaign network in Katsina in May to June 2024. We also built 5,000 lives with certain message on the negative impact of drug abuse and consequences. These lives are both in Hausa and English. The plans are distributed across the following elements of the state. That will support mainstream of policies for effective poverty eradication in Katsina State. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very broad welcome speech. It was more like an X-ray of the journey so far as far as the forum is concerned within the last 1 year. Can we please put our hands together one more time to appreciate you? Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have a slight alteration in the program. You might have noticed that the next to speak to us is the guest speaker. But we have our honorable chairman here seated. We've altered so slightly the program. And so the next to speak to us is an elder statesman. Happily, he is representing the Emir of Katsina in this forum, in this meeting. And he is also an academic, a holder of PhD, commander of the Order of the Niger, the Wazir in Katsina, and the Chancellor, Umaru Musa El Adwa University. He is the chairman of the occasion, and it is my honor and privilege to invite him to deliver his remarks.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على نبي الكريم أما بعد. His Excellency Malam Umaru Dukwarada, PhD, CON, the Governor of Katsina State, ably represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Sorry, you know, it's a wishful thinking. So I hope we will all say amen. No, I mean not amen. I mean His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GSCFR, the immediate past president, and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, other excellencies and royal highnesses here present, the organizers, the guest speaker and the discussants, participants, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. You have already been welcomed to today's crucial discussion on the strategies for poverty alleviation in Katsina in a depressed Nigerian economy. So my remarks as chairman of the event are simply to give perspectives and direction, as well as to give an indication of the parameters of the dialogue. It is our expectations that the guest speaker will set the ball rolling and the discussants will fill in the blanks. Thereafter, the participants will have the opportunity to bring in their own thoughts on what has been said, or bring in something different but germane to the issues under discussion. I should also like to emphasize that from the onset that we are here to tackle a very, very pressing challenge facing our state, facing the northern part of Nigeria, and facing Nigeria at large. Unfortunately, the time available to us here is very limited, and the number of people who may wish to speak or make contribution are very many. Therefore, it is essential that those who have the opportunity to speak, they do so precisely, concisely, and with brevity. We are going to manage time very, very well. So please, those that are to speak will be allotted time, and please keep to it. Permit me to remind us that this is the second in the series, and the dialogues are going to be on socio-economic and even political issues that may beleaguer our society. The objective is to facilitate discussion amongst experts and other stakeholders on such issues. At the end of each dialogue, we expect that a feasible, practical, and sustainable solution will emerge, or at least recommendations of sale, which when implemented will take Katsina to a higher level of development. In the event, I have to hope that in our discussion today, nothing will be held back in the move towards our goal. We have been told of what the topic or the theme of the dialogue is, so let us not hold anything back. In particular, let us acknowledge the level and gravity of the poverty we have in our society. Let us accept that it is a complex issue which requires careful handling, collective effort, innovation, and an unwavering commitment from both the government and those that are being governed. Our goal today, therefore, is to identify the problem, analyze it, and come up with effective strategies that, when implemented, will help to alleviate poverty. But in so doing, let us not shy away from touching on other socio-economic problems afflicting us, such problems as illiteracy, antisocial behaviors among our youth, the promotion of economic growth of our people, because it is only by so doing that we will improve the lot of our society. Let us accept that it is a complex issue we are going to discuss, which requires very careful handling. Our goal, therefore, Uh, if we do so, we can help see the salvation of our people, especially our restive youth. This dialogue, therefore, provides a much-needed, unique opportunity for experts, policymakers, and stakeholders to share knowledge, experiences, and ideas against the backdrop of the following issues. One, how we should explore the ways and means by which individual citizens and corporate entities owned or controlled by the citizens of Katsina State should partner with local, state, and even the federal government to invest in localities. To invest in localities, I want to emphasize that, to create jobs for local communities. That can be done by stimulating entrepreneurial and facilitating access to venture finance. I'm sure the guest speaker will touch on that. We should also discuss how local people can identify and leverage on any relative and or comparative advantages that may exist in our localities. They're about, but we simply ignore them. Two, how we should explore the ways and means by which individual citizens, and here my emphasis is individual, and corporate entities owned and controlled by citizens of Katsina should partner with the government and even to invest in localities and create jobs for their communities. Let us shy away from that feeling that no, government should do this, government should do that. Let us remember the saying of John Kennedy, that ask not what your government should do for you, but rather what you should do for your government, for your country. In this case, for your locality. The third issue is that the dialogue should enumerate the steps individuals and corporate bodies can take to partner with the government. It is to be a partnership in the development of basic infrastructure. Here, I am referring to how citizens can invest in the development of basic critical infrastructure, such as the provision of basic local security, devising the means of enhancing the supply of electricity in localities, the provision of potable water in localities, and I'm happy that the chairman has said that I think they have come up with this. Let us individually resolve that I will take responsibility of providing, if it is borehole, I will do my best. Each one of us here will provide 10 or 5 or 2 or 3. If we should all do that, we come from various localities in Katsina. If each one of us takes to do one, even one, imagine the effect that will do. So really the dialogue should highlight on that, on what we should do. And I believe that the communique should come up with really a clearly defined timeline, assignment of responsibilities, who is to do that, and a monitoring mechanism, so that if anything is achieved, we know. As we engage in this dialogue, therefore, let us be mindful of those whose fortune we hope, by the grace of Allah, to change for the better. Let us be guided by the principles of inclusivity, sustainability, and accountability in all the recommendations we ultimately make. Most importantly, let us never forget that while we propose, Allah disposes, but Allah works with what you have in your mind. If you intend to do God, He will provide you all you need to do. So please let us resolve to do even those things that we know now we are incapable of doing. If we have that as target, we will definitely achieve that. So once more, I want to express my gratitude to the organizers of the dialogue for bringing us here. The guest speaker for agreeing. In fact, having been where he has been, I have been a banker myself from the group. I mean, I rose through the ranks. So anybody that has been a banker knows how he has dealt with people that have come for assistance to alleviate their poverty. I'm sure our guest speaker is well positioned for that. Let us be precise and clear in our contribution. Let us aim to harness the power of constructive and purposeful dialogue and cooperation. Equally important, let us aim towards the type of positive changes that will complement and add value to the visible and praiseworthy efforts of the government. I mean, we have to really consider and accept. Whether we like, I think this government is doing well, honestly. I mean, I say this with sincerity and conviction. And please let us build on that. Let us not play politics. Let us bring to bear our own contributions. We, the citizens, must stand to be counted in the supplementation of the needed resources, first by paying our taxes. This is very important. How many of us that are outside here, apart from those who are paying as you earn, how many of us are in business but we have our tax points here? How many? Very few. Please do it. You can change your tax point from wherever you are. If you are pay as you earn, then because you are employed somewhere. But if you are a businessman, the law allows you to bring your tax point here in your state. Imagine what it will be if all of us pay our taxes here. I do. Finally, it is my earnest hope, and I have been assured by organizers of the dialogue, that at the conclusion, we would have comprehensive report or communique that will not only reflect what has been discussed, but will also contain specific, not general recommendations, assigning responsibilities to the various stakeholders, the government, the citizens, the companies that are owned by Katsina people, the companies that are owned by people but are operating here. We hope that the communique will assign responsibilities, put timeline, and have a monitoring system so that after 6 months, we can sit back and say, have we achieved our target? If not, why not? If yes, why have we not exceeded it? I thank you, and I want to say that I am a chairman that really play by the rules. We are going to be very strategic. When you make your contribution, please don't repeat what someone has said. And most importantly, if you have ideas that you have not had time to venture out here, write it up and send it to the organizers. I am sure by the time the outcome comes, you will see it reflected here. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I pause for now until we come to the real session. I wish us very, very good deliberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can we please put our hands together one more time for the Wazir in Katsina? The chairman of the occasion has done so well in delivering his remark and giving us a direction of where we're going as far as this discussion is concerned. Very few of us may not know that 31 years ago he was a commissioner of finance in Katsina State. And so he knows this subject matter very well and has traversed all through in this very topic of our discussion. The chairman of the occasion, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the high point of the event is what is next, and that is talking about the paper or the presentation to be made by the guest speaker. I think the chairman of the forum has partially done a presentation on who the guest speaker is in his own welcome address. But what is only missing there is the fact that the guest speaker was about 40 years ago a first-class accounting graduate of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. He is a member of ICANN, a fellow of Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institutions, and he left Jaiz Bank as the managing director, chief executive officer of that bank in 2016. He is
the Managing Director of Bragg Capital Limited, a financial advisory company which advised the federal government on yet another poverty reduction mechanism, and that is talking about road construction across Nigeria. And so he is in a better place to talk to us on this subject matter. It is my honor and privilege to invite the guest speaker to deliver his presentation to us, and with the discussions will continue as planned. Can we please welcome him with a resounding round of applause?
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم. وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I think in the interest of time, and in order for me not to bump into the protocol, I will ask humbly to ask the chairman and the representative of His Excellency to allow me to stand on the protocol that was beautifully established, and to go straight to the presentation. And I know that we've been waiting to start this for quite a while. Secondly, I think that it's very difficult to speak after a chairman who knows his onions and who has beautifully given us a roadmap. And of course, looking at his paper or his welcome address, one will in itself be a guide as to what type of actions and recommendations we should be implementing in order to deal with this very important subject for our dear state. Now, the issue of poverty is not peculiar to Katsina State. This is a Nigerian phenomenon. Almost every part of this country is ravaged by it. And the recent reforms of the federal government, economic reforms, have even further underscored the level of extreme poverty that we are witnessing in Nigeria. And Katsina State not being an exception, part of the Federation, being in the northern part of the country where this is more pronounced, unfortunately is experiencing this grave phenomenon, and it's affecting every aspect of life. From our, so you have an issue which is sometimes you ask when you are dealing with it, like the proverbial question of the chicken or the egg. Is it poverty that is accentuating all the social issues that we have? Or are those issues that we are supposed to deal with at the cause of the poverty? So in my intervention, I try to take a census or barometer of the situation. And one of the indicators as provided by the Bureau of Statistics indicates that Katsina State level of poverty is over 70%. And I think without even the Bureau, we all know, because we are part and parcel of this society, we know that this is really a very perverse issue and a social issue, which also, if we confront and deal with it, many of our issues will be resolved. The UNDP Human Development Index also put Katsina State in the lower bracket, the lowest, that's 20%. If you rank Nigeria, we are 31 to 36. It means we are at the 20% percentile of the poverty in Nigeria. Our indicator of poverty is the level of mortality, infant mortality, which also indicates how high this issue is. We have, according to sources, the maternal mortality in Nigeria, what is known and what needs to be done, Nigeria Economic Summit indicates that from every 100,000 births, we have over 600 deaths. And so it goes. These indicators are worrying, and they are underscoring the level of poverty, because it is this that makes it impossible for all the things that needed to be done, like antenatal care, postnatal care, and even the diet that the mother is made available to nourish her during the pregnancy. All those are issues that affect the capacity or the level of death that we witness and the mortality rate. So we have what you can call like a scorecard. Poverty rate 72%, unemployment more than 50% unemployment level. In fact, almost the same 70 to 80% of our population are, even if employed, underemployed. Because we know that about 80% of our population are engaged in agriculture, and they are active for only about 6 months of the year. In the remaining part of the year, they are really underemployed. They hustle, and hustling does not make a living. There is limited access to quality education. Today, unlike what we enjoyed while we were coming up, quality education has to be purchased practically, and the majority of the people can't do so. We have weak infrastructure and lack of basic amenities. Electricity is one of the key ingredients for development. Most part of our state does not have this amenity. Even in the capital, you have the capital city of Katsina, where we should have almost 20 to 22 hours a day. This is not possible for most parts of the city. So you can imagine today the iron bender, those who are into milling, and the few factories that we have, if they have to use diesel or other means of powering their engines and activities, how difficult that would be, and how will that affect the level of capacity utilization. And with low capacity utilization, obviously means low employment, And so the cycle goes. If you have low employment, you definitely then have less income, and less income means you are not able to meet those basic needs that make life to be lifted above the poverty level. And then to worsen issues, you have inadequate health service. So you don't have enough income, you fall sick or your loved ones fall sick, you have to move around to ensure that either go begging or you see your loved one suffering from the disease or ailment. Then you have gender inequality, which by our tradition and the way we have perhaps maybe misinterpreted the culture and the religion, we have our women not being catered for in the ways that they can be productive. Yes, we know our culture does not allow them to mix freely with men, but other climes, they have found a way to ensure that women, even at home, are able to produce and market is made available or market is sought for them so that they can contribute to the economy. Now, recently, we also have severe insecurity in many parts of Katsina State. And then unfortunately, the bread basket of Katsina State is suffering from major socio-economic disruption because of the insecurity and banditry around. So this looks like our scorecard, and it's really daunting for any policymaker or anybody who is really worried about his people. This will make you very sleepless. So what do we do? This seminar, therefore, is called to be able to put heads together and propose solutions. And like the chairman said, every party here and there has a role to play. Our corporate existence is threatened, but we have a culture in our religion that also said we are supposed to be our brother's keepers. So this is not a responsibility alone for the government. Yes, the government, because that's their primary responsibility, to look after the welfare of every citizen. It's a trust they have taken upon themselves, but they cannot do it alone. Even the best of societies try to complement what the government or the public sector is doing, because the job is big, and it's bigger here in Katsina State because of the pervasiveness of this problem. But the state is not hopeless. The state has assets. And these assets, if we look at them, we can see that we have a base. Agriculture is the mainstay of the nation to a great extent, but especially to Katsina State. About 80% of our working population live on agriculture. We have more than 2 million cultivable land, but a third of it is said to be uncultivated yet. So there is room for us to put more land and to also put the existing land that we are cultivating into better use. I was really taken aback when I found, trying to prepare for this event, that there are more than 40 dams in Katsina State. that was really a shock to me. I didn't know that we have this much asset in terms of water bodies. 3 of these are federal government, and about 40 belongs to the state. Some of them are big, some of them are small. I've been told that we are the largest producer of cotton, and we are among the largest producers of sorghum and sugarcane in Nigeria. So we have a template to start. We have a base on which we can build on. And in my opinion, the first low-hanging fruit for Katsina State to improve on poverty is to ensure that we raise the productivity of agriculture. So, of course, here we can call on the state to improve on the support given to agriculture through better seeds, through distribution of or subsidizing of fertilizers and other inputs. This is key to start with, because we have to have some short-term intervention so that we can improve the productivity. When you improve the productivity, it means, one, the individual farmers are better off. Secondly, with supply, likely prices will come down, and therefore affordability becomes easier, and people are able to afford. And so once they can meet some of these basic needs, and food is number one in terms of as a basic need, if you can make food available, then the level of poverty will improve. Extension services are needed to do this as an immediate step. We need to go back to Malamungona period. We need to have these people trained and kitted with mobility, and we need to continue to have these demonstration farms so that our farmers can learn better techniques. They can improve this, their farming methods through training and involvement of the youth. We need to ensure that our youth understand the benefits and be proud to be farmers. We have to make farming a beautiful occupation. We have to make it in order to move this number of ever-growing youth population. Because remember, Katsina State and our other states in the north are growing at more than 3% annually. And this growth is not sustainable if we do not have the basic needs of food, shelter, and of course, this population needs to be educated. Now, access to finance. This is significant because, again, in order to grow a business, whether it is agriculture or any other business, you need financing. And financing is very difficult for the farmer. And today, the farmer is being taken advantage of because of the level of poverty and want. Whatever little he is able to farm, he has other needs. He has a daughter to marry off. He has other requirements that he has to meet. So immediately after the harvest, the middlemen take advantage. They buy off this, and off they go. And before 3-4 months, the prices is almost double. So some kind of warehousing arrangement need to come in place in Katsina State, organizing the farmers into cooperatives, providing a source of immediate finance for them before when they are preparing their land and during the farming season, and then managing the way they sell off the produce so that they do not just give it up or give it away, and in a form in that will give them more benefit and grow their ability to grow their farms and their productivity. Of course, all of this involve a lot of change of attitude and dissemination of information. So the state has to lead in making awareness campaigns to modernize even the techniques that our farmers are employing, and also to ensure quality control. Because one of the major weaknesses we have today is that the farmers have also joined the queue of trying to cheat. So in the process, they destroy their seeds through methods that try to get them higher weight, and also they destroy their market because there is no standardization, and disposal is done haphazardly. Quality control is not there, and the discipline to control quality is also not there. So at the end of the day, this is affecting even the nation as a whole, so that you have some commodities in Nigeria that are not exported in the name of Nigeria. Some people will buy these commodities, they will take them to their country, they will sift and clean them and export as if they are exported from that country. Because over the period of lack of care, we've destroyed the system in such a way that everybody is just laissez-faire, everybody is on his own and does whatever he wants to do, and in the process we have destroyed confidence of counterparties in what we do. So it's a long haul, but if we want to get value for what we do in agriculture and in any other business, we need to go back to ensure that there is quality control instituted within the system, initially by the government, I suppose, because they should lead in this respect, and perhaps when we put things in order and pass this to the private sector so that they can manage the process and ensure that what we do does not hurt us in the long run. So irrigation, I think, having said or having realized that we have this number of water bodies, I think we don't have an excuse. If this may not be immediate, but the action should start immediate to ensure that we put these water bodies. It's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to us. We should use it, and we should use it to the benefit of our people. Once we can ensure that enough capital is imputed and controlled, and our water bodies are used sustainably, we can have almost 12-year-round activity, increase our productivity in agriculture, reduce the unemployment, and obviously this will go a long way to reduce poverty and even malnourishment, which as a cycle also increase poverty through lower health care and ability to stand the elements. Now, agriculture also needs security. We need security, and I don't think we need to discuss, before we take security for granted, these recent years we know that security is really very important in everything that we do, but more especially in agriculture. Now, the next most important element in reducing poverty in Katsina State, I think, is education. Education should probably come first, but because we are talking about immediate, education takes time. Agriculture, you can, over 2 to 3 cycles, you can do interventions that improve the productivity. Of course, even in agriculture, you have long-term, like working on the irrigation. I sometimes ask the question if we can go and raise scope for 30 billion to road infrastructure in the city. So why can't we take 100 billion from the market and invest in irrigation? Why can't we do that? Let's open up the rural areas, water them out, and see what will come within the next one. This is an investment that will pay itself, because these farmers, you can provide some kind of taxes around the utilization of this water body that can pay itself, and then continue to maintain these dams. I believe this is something that the government should take very seriously. Borrowing is not bad, so long as you can say this is something to improve the lot of the people, and the people will see. I believe that working on dams and providing the canals and the other infrastructure, including training, can greatly leapfrog us out of poverty. Now, education is very powerful because it increases productivity and income levels. And for many of us, we are live case studies, because we came from poor families. What really changed the dynamics for us, by Allah's grace, is the education that we got. Within a generation of family, can change significantly the possibilities of our people. When they get the right education, and this makes it functional, they contribute not just to their family, but to the nation and to humanity as a whole. It changed the attitude and way of life. So health and nutrition easily will change, and so the cost of even maintaining healthcare comes down with education. When you educate, the social participation is different. Many people are unable to come to this place because they don't have the education to come and rob mine. But if you give them education, they will be ready, and they have the capacity to participate in nation building. Education definitely reduces inequality. It also promotes innovation. This is very critical in today's world, because innovation is what we have today that is capable of moving a third world country to a advanced country. Because you easily, today the internet has made knowledge and technology available to everybody, so long as you can get the basic infrastructure, which I think we should be able to provide for our people. And of course, education helps economic growth. Economic growth, because we've seen in the area of information technology, we've seen companies that were floated in Nigeria just a couple of years that have come to surpass. If you look at Kuda, for example, and MoneyPoint, their valuation today is more than the biggest of our companies. And nothing brought this but just innovation. It's innovation, ability to think and provide solutions that the 21st century has made possible. Now, but we are challenged, even in education. We all know we are challenged seriously, because it is this challenge, or the issues we have from the 1970s, late 70s to today around education, that has pushed our development backwards. Most of us that were educated prior to the UPE program and the subsequent issues that we have in this sector have done slightly better. But today in the 21st century, our challenge is that we still continue to have outdated curriculum. It has no relevance to today. Most of what we teach in the school today is not relevant to the environment that we live today. We emphasize many courses, even at the tertiary level, which today should be de-emphasized. So we need to quickly look at our curriculum, and I'm happy to say that the federal government recently has realized this. After so many attempts to look at the curriculum, they have started to make some amendments and urging everybody to include functional skills in the curriculum. But I think there's more fundamental shift that needed to be done. And this shift is to look at what is the relevant education today. I have a case study in Kaduna. A young man started a primary school, and in that primary school, the focus is on information technology. It's a private school. It's along Rabah Road. Many would have seen folks in there. Having taken the class 6, he has now established a secondary school to ensure that all the children of that school go to the secondary school. And what is his target? By the time these kids finish JSS and they are doing SS1, they are able to get online job that they can sustain if they want to go to university. This is what he said. If they want to go to university after secondary school, we have equipped them to be working from their SS4, and we will look for this job for them to be programming and coding and doing things for other institutions from their home. Instead of being on the internet watching things, they will be working for this institution that will pay for their university level, if they intend to. But if they want to grow themselves in that area, they can. So there is need for us to look at the curriculum. But this is a lot of work, because you also need to have the teachers that will do this. You have to prime yourself and do it. And frankly, we shouldn't leave this to the government. We should, in our individual ways, see how we can implement some change in the curriculum. But the government has to be flexible to allow these changes to happen. Because sometimes when you go do this curriculum, they will insist that you have to have this subject again, so that when their students are graduating, they will now have some kind of accreditation. So if they have to go to university, they have those. But if the government can look at this again and check the curriculum and modify it, I think that will be a source for change in our fortune as a nation, but especially for Kttv State. Teacher quality, I think this is something we don't need to debate this, but this is a lot of work, because again, over time, this area we have suffered a lot, and you can't give what you don't have. No teacher can be able to give what he does not have in this respect. So we need to do something around this, and I think that once you change the curriculum, and we should be ready to import skills from other locations to ensure that we develop this area quickly. Happily, like I said, when I was trying to look into what Kttv State was doing, I can see that many of these initiatives have started. Some institutions have been set up, newer institutions, look at even curriculum. I think they call it, if I'm not mistaken, TESS test or something. So I think it's a road that has started to be visited, so let's encourage the state government to do much more. Inadequate infrastructure, this we know. You see, I have gone to class and see more than 100 students in the class, in the primary school, and that it cannot happen. You hardly can learn positively in that environment. External factors limiting access, and this is where the vicious cycle happens, because there is poverty, the children are affected in learning. So cultural issues, some still don't like their girl children going to school. So these are issues that we need to deal with in terms of advocacy and sensitization. Let me, I think I'm not doing well with time, so let me make it faster. So, but in education, in my view, we also have a low-hanging mangoes here. If we, in the interim, we need to focus on skills. Because today, we still import tilers, those who are going to building with POP, electricians. We still don't have enough in Katsina State. In many places, you see that when you see the person, you know it's not from this state. So we need to emphasize this and ensure that even if someone is going to university, he must be treated to work with his hands. Because at the end of the day, if you cannot get paid employment, which we should emphasize, you should be able to go and work for yourself and even employ other people. So, and you cannot do this without skills. I have a case study of a principal in Daura. About 20 years ago, he left. He was just 10 years being principal of, I think, JSS Mulung Party, and he left. Said, I will use my hands. And today, every part of Katsina State and many parts of Northern State feel his job. He fabricates almost anything that you go to him, he will be able to fabricate. And he has graduated more than 200 artisans from that place. And he has started to develop engines like crushers. He can manufacture crushers to crush kara for feeding animals, for harvesting. When you harvest, you thrash and produce the grain. Today he is able to do this. Almost all the canopies you see in the fuel station, he manufactured them. And he does tank. And he was not a technical student while in school. He was, I think he read Hausa and Islamic studies and became a principal. So this can be done if we, and in my view, that if we teach and put more resources on the craft schools. Katsina State has our 4 technical secondary schools and many craft schools. If we can put more resources there to produce skilled manpower, and then ensure that all the other secondary schools have some departments that put through our young ones through skill acquisition process, so that they become more confident people when they can do something, and then create a mentorship program where in each town you have someone that can take 2 or 3 distribute your students to, after their classes, go to this mechanic or go to this welder or go to, so that they acquire the confidence and skill to live as a useful. Okay, it's coming. So let me. All right. So skill and skill. We need to invest there. We have to focus more on functional tertiary education. Even in the universities, please, I think we have a number of tertiary institutions in Katsina. Let's make a difference. Let's engage the administrators of these universities to look at their curriculum, to include things that every student should have a skill, at least one skill that he can, during the holidays, go and work, and he should be given some kind of, the course should carry a lot of weight, and he should come with like a dissertation of what he has been doing during those out-of-school time. The scope of the Katsina Directorate, like I said, I have seen many good things that Katsina State is trying to do in this area, the ICT, to include skills development. I think we should have, for those who have already graduated, we should encourage more people to come and be taught how to code, how to write programs, and also be useful and marketable in the land. And collaboration is very important, because Katsina State can, the chairman has said, we have so many people all over the place. We need to get those people to get collaboration opportunities for local and international space and market. Infrastructure, yes, socio-economic infrastructure, they are needed, like improvement in road. I think Katsina State has done a lot in road construction. We have to give credit to them, but rural roads need to be made more available and more motorable so that they can help movement of goods and human beings. Review transport policy and facilitate the use of, because today, you know, many people have left their cars somewhere, they cannot use them, so alternative energy like the CNG, I think we should quickly get NNPC to prioritize Katsina State so that we can have the station that can provide CNG and also the combustion centers. The state can get involved in subsidizing this so that, especially for transporters, so that the price of movement, transport fares will come down. Access to electricity, I cannot say more. The chairman has also mentioned this is very, very critical. Most of these SMEs, they cannot afford the current pricing for power. Stringent internet connectivity, I think this is something that is a game changer. We need to have broadband available, and also encourage our institutions of learning to be using this and making it an infrastructure. Expand and equip primary healthcare centers, of course, launch community health awareness campaign, and strengthen maternal and child health services, because these are issues that also affect the level of well-being. Now, community involvement, and like I said also here, Katsina State recently launched Zakah and Waqf board, and I think this is in the right direction to encourage community to be involved in poverty reduction. Zakah is very powerful. Waqf is equally powerful, but my advice is that rather than ask people to give their Waqf to the board, everybody should be encouraged to set up a Waqf. Either as a family Waqf, where you can also extend charity to it and take care of your family and yourself, depending on, you know, you don't know what happened tomorrow, but it can also be purely charitable Waqf, which will help in terms of poverty reduction. Many of, I mean, from our history, we know as Muslims, Waqf has played a very critical role in terms of development in even science, but more especially also in helping to take care of those who are underprivileged. We encourage business and high net worth individuals. The chairman has said this, so I will not repeat this. Let me quickly, I continue with stakeholder engagement, government, private sector, NGOs, and community involvement in this will help a lot, inshallah. And in conclusion, I think poverty is a multifaceted challenge requiring comprehensive intervention. In the long run, education, healthcare, and economic opportunities and infrastructure are key to tackling poverty. Collaborative efforts between government and private sector, NGOs and communities are essential for sustainable solutions. And we have to work together. Like the chairman said, we must collectively and deliberately move from talking to acting. We need to have working groups. I hope we will do that to tax and generate white papers from this year's dialogue for implementation. And in this regard, I provided some case studies. I mentioned the mentorship with Chedia. I also mentioned irrigation here, irrigation and farming greenhouse. These are case studies that I think the organizers can look at. Precision welding. This is also, I just stumbled on this during the implementation, when we are talking about the implementation of the dam in Mambila. We found that when the Zingeru Dam was established, the Chinese were bringing welders from China to do welding. And one will ask why, because that type of welding, which is called precision welding, there are only 4 organizations all over Nigeria that do this. And it's not even well known. So we need to, these are some of the areas that I think we should organize ourselves and say that we have people that are learning these skills, because they are the skills of today and tomorrow. Just like the digital empowerment, with 1 million naira, you can actually train a graduate or a very sharp secondary school graduate to be either a full stack developer, cloud architect developer, or DevOps engineer. And the average salary for this type of professionals in Nigeria is about 500 to 600,000 per month. And if they are proficient and get across, they earn about $120,000 per annum. So these case studies are available. I think we should look at them and tax ourselves either as a group to develop, say, 100 of them, or as a state to develop 200 as to start with in the next, because this training takes about 6 months, and if the people are serious, they can be trained and we can get the benefit. Thank you very much for your patient listening.
Thank you very much.
And then occasioned by the national affliction of low productivity of the economy, high unemployment, galloping inflation, and second expectations. Now, these are the really issues that put to my awareness. The suggestion is that if now we're ready to make progress, alleviating, there are certain things that take time to set and his feet. And he enumerated many of them, which you find in the presentation. But one thing I got, improving agriculture can make it very attractive. This is a cliche that I've been going around since the beginning of time. When we're talking of making agriculture, let's hope that this time around will find a make it attractive. We provide better capital to small scale business. I think it is needed. We improve education, instill skills amongst our youth, improve primary health care, and the rest. I'm sure you will see it's a very rich each discussant has 5 minutes time. I will mark it here. The moment it remains 2-3 minutes, we'll let you know. There is already after 12, and it is supposed to end by 12 something. Please do not worry, because as we have said, if you have something to say but you have not had the opportunity to say, the organizers are willing and ready to collect it from you and to be considered and selected for this. So with this, let me now call my daughter, Jesus Solomon Ibrahim, the Executive Secretary of the Consider Development Board, and she's also the current Special Advisor to the Governor, and banking and finance. So I thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Good afternoon. So I think I want to stand on existing protocol. As you mentioned, you don't have much time, and I'm going to try and keep it brief so I'm not repeating anything that's been said already. So the MD has taken us through in terms of the key important issues when it comes to poverty eradication, the issues that we're facing as a state, and I think a lot of us are quite familiar with these things. But I think the main question for us is, what is our call to action now? How do we go beyond just having a discussion and identifying the issues, but how do we go about addressing them going forward? And what do we do in our own capacity as well in our respective areas, whether it's our workplace of work or in our immediate environment? So I also want to take this opportunity to kind of talk about a couple of the interventions that the state has taken as well. In terms of looking at some of these issues, you've seen recently with the announcement with His Excellency Malandika Umar, the Executive Governor, in terms of the increase in salaries, so meeting the minimum wage requirements, but also when it comes to palliatives that have been carried out throughout the past year, which are kind of short-term measures when it comes to addressing some of these issues. But more in the longer term, as a state, we've looked at things like when it comes to skills development that's been alluded to, in terms of the scholarships that have been undertaken, we're sending students to look at key skills areas in terms of future proofing when it comes to artificial intelligence, but also when it comes to medicine and also biosecurity. So these are the kind of areas where we look at, you're always going to need doctors, but also artificial intelligence, the way that the world is moving forward. So looking at ways of engaging more online and building up these skills. So also when it comes to things like access to finance, especially now with my new portfolio looking at banking and finance, there's a key issue here when it comes to access, but also the work that I've been doing in my previous role that I'm kind of carry on into this role, which is mapping farmers and looking at where are the interventions and needs, and also looking at creating value chain. So it's not just about creating whatever produce that they have at the end, but how we warehouse it and how do we create a value chain that you can export these to market, but also within the federation as well, and building up that capacity. So in that regard, when it comes to farming, it's more attractive and it's not just seen as an area where people don't want to go into, but actually it's a way of making money and having economic investment in that opportunity as well. So it's about how can people create jobs and livelihoods for themselves and not to rely on government. That there is that, but also in terms of not having to rely on that only, but how we can build up on that. So I think it's important of having a system in place where these are viable options and also a range of means of making an income as well. And I think when it comes to access to finance as well, it's looking at those who are unbanked. Currently, we don't have banks in all the local governments, but looking at how can we create that opportunity. And also we have the Minor Microfinance Bank, which is currently present in 15 LGAs, but how do we expand that so people have access? That's something that I'm also key in terms of making sure that we address that as well within the state. So people have access to those financial incentives to help build their capacity and also to build their businesses. And especially when it comes to MSMEs as well, so having those opportunities. And when it goes back to education, where is the opportunity for people to learn and understand and find those interventions? So how we get those across the different LGs, people can easily have access to that as well, is key. And I think, again, just going back to when it comes to skills development, the CDP program, Community Development Program, is key. To look at where with the different LGs, how people can engage as well, so that they get their feedback, and any interventions that come in to the state, that people have their say in buying and have ownership. So it's not just having a discussion, actually going to the grassroots and understanding what are the key barriers to entry and how do we kind of alleviate that. So also that's in conjunction with the mention of the Zakat and Wakaf Foundation as well, so how finding of ways of collaborating maybe and streamlining that, so there's more of a coordinated approach across the state. I think another key area is also measuring our interventions across with the SDGs. That also opens up the state in terms of when it comes to international interventions, but also that it also indicates how seriously we take these issues as well. And also by having that measured, it shows how we're improving and how also where our areas of improvement are, and we continue to grow on that. So that will be, I think that will be very good to see in the next year if we have that as well on the board. So I guess in terms of talking about gender sensitivity as well, I think it's important that we engage more women in these kind of platforms as well. So they're able to provide, especially when it comes to the grassroots, they provide that insight into the interventions and the issues that they're facing and how maybe they've overcome some of those barriers and maybe the lessons learned that then can be replicated across the board. So I think it's key that we continue to encourage women to be in these spaces as well and be having the opportunity to speak as well and have a name to showcase the work that they're doing as well at the local level. So I think again I will just leave it there and just thank the panel for their time as well, and I hope we are able to take something away from this and able to call to action and actually take it forward within our respective areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I ask you to be kind enough to transcribe that and give it to us? I think we have said a lot, but somehow the audio system is not very clear, so even we are difficult. But we will follow you, so please. The next thing is a personal task to ask the professor to talk for 5 minutes. That is an important task. But I think, Professor, we have to really make them to do so. May I please have the honor of inviting Professor Muhammad Mukher Osman to come and speak to us for 5 minutes. Now, whatever you say, our hope is that it is also written so that at the end of it, because a professor is a professor, you don't become a professor unless you do other things. So, Professor, please, 5 minutes starting now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really appreciate allowing me to be in my constituency, because in my constituency, all the protocols is just to present what you have rather than the protocols. I have about 18 slides, but I will talk to only one so that I reflect on the timing that you have said. The issues are very clear from the first speaker and also the second discussant. But the most essential thing is that for our own as Kttv state, we have a comparative advantage which we should exploit. The exacerbating poverty comes as a result of the issues the first speaker raised, but I need to add some. Some of those issues are failure of local government system, because the fundamental failure of local government system eliminates all the local contractors within those local governments, and therefore they become beggars and extend to the shrinking of the economic activity in that local government. There is also failure of traditional business, families' business, which as a result of economic policy, because it's unfortunate, the macroeconomic issues is in exclusive list. So therefore, any policy that federal government took, you take the bad side of it to an extension. and also the lack of planning in terms of, when you look at that slide, go back to that slide that you raised, you look at the level of poverty as a result of policy of government between 2000 and 2023. The level of poverty increased from, say, 50 million to 110 million. What happened is as a result of certain economic policies, because economic policies are supposed to be simulated to know the impact it will have on the other system. So I'll try to give two issues that are very critical in terms of eliminating poverty in such. One of it is the cost of doing business. For instance, I download a data from World Bank biannual report that if you want to make an export, they compare about 3 regions in which it says, one, it takes about 4 days to export from New York to Chicago at the cost of $1,500 for that export. And for import, you need 3 days from Chicago to New York. But unfortunately, to make an export from GBA to Lagos, it will take you 12 and a half days. So, and it will cost you about $4,500. While in import, it takes about 12 days, 12 and a half, and it will cost you about $500. So the kind of infrastructure we have really developed a scenario in which even to continue in business, it becomes very difficult. So finally, Mr. Chairman, one of the solutions we propose is that there must be a deliberate attempt to transform agriculture. And transformation of agriculture, it starts from the peasant farmers' transformations. Because from Ergamji in Jibia local government down to El Sabao, you have an arable land that there is water lock in that area, that you just have to clear that land and distribute it for farming. And the second thing is to establish a trade facilitation office in which you facilitate the off-takers of that produce straight to the farmers. And that's what happened in here, that they have to, the government has to establish a ad hoc off-taker of their products. So I think it's very important to look at that. And the final thing I would say before I sit up, Mr. Chairman, is that, for instance, in the first quarter to the third quarter of 2020, the Nigerian export of what is called hibiscus flower to Mexico is over and above the budget of Jigawa State. And Jigawa State is the largest producer of hibiscus flower. And the companies that export the hibiscus flowers, they are just 2 companies, and they were based in Lagos. And when we discussed with the chairman of the company, he said he has never been to Abuja. What he does is you sit in Lagos, send the money, buy a bag of soap at the rate, he will give you at the rate of 20,000. The agent will buy it at 15,000 and send it to Lagos, and he packages it to Mexico, and it costs about more than $10,000 per bag. And so the wealth has been transferred. And the second element of those products is sesame seed. Katsina State is one of the large producers of sesame seed, but the exporters are based in Lagos. In fact, the laboratories to test the reliability of the sesame seed is established in Shagamu. So you have to take it to Shagamu to certify that that product is viable for export. before it can be exported. So I think by agricultural transformation and also facilitations in trade will make Katsina State, inshallah, because thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Professor, thank you very much. We expect that presentation. Yeah, to be uploaded. Thank you very much. And yes. The next person, I think this person is talking about his own. So we are going to see. I'm happy that you talk about you. You guys are my mother's so the next person is Dr. Salam Abubakar, senior lecturer at my university.
I'm here, sir. Assalamu alaikum. All protocols are duly observed. My contribution will pick from where my senior colleague has stopped. His presentation underlined an important missing element of agric transformation we have been propagating, that is the value chain management. We produce soya, soya beans, maize, and coke. We'll be eating chocolate, cereals, and be amazed not knowing the inputs are from us. If agric is creating jobs, it is seasonal and in many cases not permanent. But if you have a company that processes this agric output from us, the job and wealth creation will be higher. I always used to give my student example of an oil mill in Puntua, we all know it, which process the locally produced soya beans there. You go there now and see the bicycles you see of workers there. What is axiom of his turnover, for instance. So value chain management is what is missing. It's not enough to promote local production, or primary production, produce more of soya beans, more of maize, more of cotton. At the end of the day, they will end up being transported to Lagos and elsewhere, and values will be added to them. We produce at the rate of 100,000 currently for soya beans, but maybe if cereals and others are produced, they will cost ₦1 million. They will say the VAT or the value addition is there. You are here, maybe you provide the base product, but then when we are counting GDP, we only count 100,000 in Katsina, and we count ₦1 million in Lagos. That is where the value is added. So government, private sector, community leaders should pay attention to value addition. It's not rocket science. This is something that can be done. And it's being done anyway. As I said, we have an oil mill in Funtua, rice mill in Katsina, another rice mill in Funtua. We have several of them. We can scale up this and we create wealth, more jobs, and poverty will be the past. Now, related to this is skills development. Of course, you need workers in the farms and factories you are going to set up to add value. In Katsina State, we have a particular or a major skills development center, Katsina Youth Craft Village. It's a model because its footprint is being felt all over. I think the paints in our houses is from the products of this school. But unfortunately, I don't know. Here in Katsina, catering for 34 local government areas. It has enrollment of about 1,400 coming from all the 34 local governments. Asking somebody from Sabua, from Honto to come here to Katsina to learn skills, I think it's not fair. Let us scale this craft village to all local governments in Katsina in the long term. But immediately we can start with 3 zones, Hontua, Daura, and then Katsina. Gradually maybe to 7 local governments. And of course, gradually to all 34. And the skills they are teaching now is 15. And most of them are not related to agri. We have comparative advantage in agriculture. As I said, adding value to agriculture, wallahi, will solve the problem of poverty in Katsina. So then, the skills they are teaching should be rooted in agri value chain. The agri value chain is endless. Whether you talk of livestock, whether you talk of crops, it's endless. So let all the skills we are teaching be rooted in agri value chain. Somebody being taught cobbler, shoemaking, but then the skin he's using is imported from China. When we kill a lot of cows in our abattoirs, where are our tanneries? Somebody should process the skin from the cows and camels slaughtered in our abattoirs and feed the cobbler or the shoemaker. So this is actually very important. And then we're talking of SMEs development. In Kaduna State recently, you have an agency set up to support SMEs. Then they should passion their intervention facilities and grants to support this value chain development. They can have special facilities, special grants, which support whoever wants to set up anything that will add value to our local agricultural commodity. We should have incentive, tax incentive, land allocation incentive for whoever wants to add value to any agricultural commodity produced in Kaduna State. The governance issue is part of what the key speaker talked about. The governance is all about resource allocation. The governance should allocate resources at activities and projects that alleviate poverty, and then there should be continuity in these activities and policies. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Doctor, I'm sure you turned to the blessing. Thank you, nevertheless. I'm sure you people have given your submission, right? Now the next person is a practitioner. He's a practitioner. He is the Chief Knowledge Director and Chief Executive of Nigeria Export Import Guide.
Waziri and Chairman, I'm sure the 2 additional minutes is so that I can make a pledge of how much I will finance in alleviating poverty in Nigeria. But Chairman and other members of the High Table, I stand on protocols already established. I'll go straight to the issues that have been raised by my colleague, my brother, Hassan Usman. I had the privilege of having a discussion with him last night around what we need to do for poverty to be alleviated in Kttv State. What he brought out as the synopsis of the situation and what he termed his dashboard or the dashboard of Kttv State today is where the key problem is. So I opine that the cause of poverty in Kttv State is those 7 items that he put there. It is not poverty that caused those 7 items. So what I will first recommend is that we have a dashboard to tackle those 7 items. When you hear multifaceted poverty or multidimensional poverty, those are the issues. Okay? So I'll urge SSG, representing the government, that the state must keep an eye on that. And to keep an eye on that, it must be data-driven. It must be data-driven. We must know where we are at any given time to measure. Because they say anything that is not measured never gets done. So we need something like a monitoring office to monitor those multidimensional issues that are causing poverty in Kttv State. Going on to the other parts of the presentation, which you have done beautifully well. We need to have a plan, which I think it was Dr. that mentioned that. There must be a plan. What has been happening with governors in Nigeria is that whoever comes with a very short-term plan for himself. But there must be a long-term plan. I don't know if I asked, as an SSG can let us know. if there is a 10, 15, or 20-year development plan for Katsina State. I doubt it. We must have that from the bedrock of our plan in changing things around. That must be done. Thirdly, agriculture, we say, is the mainstay of the economy, and I disagree with it. Agriculture is the biggest activity in terms of physical activity, in terms of output, but it's not the mainstay of the economy. And Professor said it before me. That's what I had planned to come and speak about. We are not adding value in Katsina State. Despite the output of sesame, of hibiscus, of sorghum, of cotton, as the main presenter said, there is no value economically that we're getting in Katsina State. On my way from Kano yesterday, I got somewhere and sugarcane was being loaded on trucks. It is going out of Katsina State. And we're still staying at the sustainable level, subsistence level within the state. And it's going to remain so unless we do something about it. Professor and doctor spoke about value chain. Sesame seeds and hibiscus most especially, that are cash crops in Nigeria today, are grown in this area. Some argue that Jigawa is not even the biggest producer. Katsina State is the biggest producer. We don't know because we don't have data. There is no plan. But leave it as it is, we produce a lot. We do not add value at all. If you go to the Wano market, even if we are not adding value, let us start by aggregating within Katsina State. Let us be the wholesalers, so that guy in Lagos comes to Katsina to buy. And when he's buying not from a disadvantaged position, but from an advantaged position, because you have skill. What is happening today is the farmers are selling from 2 bags to 2 trailers. So there is no economies of scale for them, the farmers. We must, as an immediate action, put aggregation strategies within Katsina State. Identify where we have comparative advantage in agriculture and put aggregation strategies. Let's create another Dewano in Katsina. And that must be done immediately. Then, what I hear the presenter speaking about is that we must approach agriculture from a perspective of commercialization. We must commercialize agriculture. We must see agriculture as a business, not for sustenance. What and what do we have to do to create? I'll give you an example. We're in discussions with Saudi Exim Bank, or they're giving us a line, actually, to import irrigation equipment. Those irrigation equipment will become useful with the dams that our presenter has identified. I was just knowing for the first time last night that there are over 40 dams in Katsina State. But we don't have organized agriculture that can borrow money, that can acquire those irrigation equipment. So if we're going to do dry season farming, we're going to do irrigation in the dry season, we need the equipment to do it. So, how do we organize? Are we going to organize farmers in cooperatives? Are we going to create state-owned companies, not state government companies, that will first lead the way to commercialize agriculture? What we should be doing is creating value within Katsina State. And the final thing I'm going to speak about is finance. 2 more minutes. Is finance and investment. There is no way we will create wealth. I would rather use that phrase than use alleviate poverty, because poverty alleviation, we're speaking of creation of wealth, right? That's what we're, general creation of wealth. Is we must be able to crowd investment. Whether it's domestic investment or foreign investment, we must be able to attract investments into the state. I'm not sure how many industries we have here. What I know is that what we had in the past have all disappeared. New have come in, the rice plants and so on. But there are different sectors of the economy where we need investment in Katsina State. So how do we crowd it? How do we bring in investments into Katsina State? There has to be a deliberate effort. It's not enough to just go abroad and make presentations. We must create the atmosphere, the circumstances that will make money flow into Katsina State by itself. And those are the things that we should have as our plan going forward. Finance. I'm surprised, maybe apart from Exim Bank, there is no other finance here. No, Katsina State has banks. And apologies if the banks are here, but I haven't seen any bank. We must involve financial institutions. In addition to DFIs, many DFIs have interventions, and I'll tell you, we have about 6 DFIs in Nigeria today, development finance institutions. Most of the lending of DFIs in Nigeria go to Southwest. Averagely, most of the DFIs, 60% of lending is in Southwest. It is not because we don't want to lend to the rest of Nigeria, but it is because sometimes the rest of Nigeria does not even know that there are those interventions. And when they know, they are not coming to access them. It's an attitude we must change. Because there is no development. What I'm saying is that there is no development that will happen without finance. I have made offers to Katsina State for processing of sesame seeds. Spanning over 2 governments now, the offers are still on the table. We must organize to make this possible in alleviating poverty. We need money, and we can't be passive about it. So let me put it here, if there are entrepreneurs, the export of agri-produce constitutes bulk of what Nexus finances. Let us work together. Let's see how we can create businesses in Nigeria, in Katsina State, that will employ. Employment and job creation is what is most critical for alleviation of poverty within the state. So thank you very much.
Before you sit, Alhaji Abubakar Abba, I want to say we have had your critique of the system. But the essence of having the likes of you where you are is to defend our interests. My challenge to you we have said, reach out to the state government, reach out to other stakeholders, and see how you can make a difference. Because and I will follow up. He knows what I mean, and I know he knows what I mean. I will follow up to see that it happens. Thank you very, very much. Now, the next one is my son, Bahim Nurul. Where is he? Where is he? Where's here? Okay, well, you didn't know this. Okay, anyway. Now, we have made a slight change in the program. Now, if you check item number 11, has now become number 10. And number 10 has become number 11. Which means we will now allow 5 people who would have wished that they were 10, 20, but 5. Each will have 3 minutes. 3. And out of that 3, every 5 people, Senator Sika will be one of the 5. So I will make 4. Now, we are that gentleman, you stand up. You stand up. Any lady, any Professor, Tashi, okay, you're not so. Just so that you know, the one at the end there, out of the two, into, another game. Where is he? No, don't start yet. Let me sort out. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Where is he? No, please put it up there. I'm going to do. Where is he? Nothing. Okay, nice day. So, look, please, now you stand there and you get your number. No, stand. Senator will be number 1, you will be number 2, she will be number 3, is number 4, number 5. So I think we are number 6. Okay. No, please, I will go to numbers. You go to numbers. So if I say 1, he knows 2, he knows 3, he knows 4. Please, so he knows. So distinguish. Chairman can ask me, so you can see even the chairman. So really, you can ask my this 3 minutes. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to adopt the protocols already established. Also to say, Mr. Chairman, I agree and adopt all that has been said by the discussants, especially also the guest speaker. Also whether agri is men's day, month's day, science day, potential day, whatever it is, the idea is creating wealth through all encompassing participation of the citizens of the state to try to create wealth and then have a sufficient of it, the totality of it to aggregate and become wealth, real wealth to generate and create prosperity for the state. So in agreeing with that, Mr. Chairman, I was growing up in Hamlet, itself within the Dubawa Hamlet in Chadwell. And at that time, there were in every household there's a prayer. that time there was local economy running. And at that local economy, almost everybody is something. And though we don't have anything to measure the quantum of wealth created, but it is at least serving that locality, and we are all rich and famous at the time. So I will think that perhaps while we are trying to look at all these huge gigantic programs that will create wealth, that will sum up to huge wealth for prosperity of Islam, we also do look, we also do look at this, the kind of skills that we have got behind and that creating wealth. And yesterday I was with my friends at farm, small water farm, one of the very farms from that, and he's trying to do a pilot scheme on one small portion of that, that's the criteria law, who is himself economist as well as a MIT expert. And he showed me what he can do, the technique, and the amount of people he's employed, and how much wealth he can create from one small part there. And the technique, that needs to be integrated in our system to get this over. When the chairman, I was talking to one of my politicians yesterday, and I said, perhaps if I have the opportunity, I'll create a school. And in that school, all of this gambanga that we have, that we can't menace, you can't go to Janaza, you can't go to Sunnah, you can't do anything. You get hounded and arrested. I think I will put them in there for 5 years. 2 in every zone. I'll put them in there for 5 years in a boarding school. And I'll get them to memorize, if they can, or to study the Quran, the Hadith, and all of it, and teach them skills of the tiling, of the electrical medium jobs, and so on, so that they can keep providing them out of the drugs and learn skills. So that when they come out, the Thailand and the gentlemen can have jobs to do. They have jobs to do, they are not in drugs, but they have them in abundance. In my way. And more will come of that. Then infrastructure, I agree with I agree with all the submission made. In 2006, I was invited by His Excellency President of Rwand's government to present a paper on agri protections of business and transport and whatever. And I had no idea. I remember that the Dawa came and Tanzania and whatever. But my own is that I said, look, at that time we had 7 dams. I counted them. That's I went very 40 because I had one in National one was in Masaros, and one in Soma, in 30. But that's I said, look, we have an airport here. Why don't you create a garden facility? All the tomatoes and the peppers and chilies and onions and so on, we get a handful of tomatoes. It is 10 pounds in London, right? 10 pounds is times 2,000 now. How much it is? A whole basket per time was 3,000. And 10 pounds of tomato is 10 pounds. I mean, one handful is 10 pounds. So if you either add value or not add value, and you ship it in 5 hours, it's in London. And you sell it and you hide it straight from Africa, nature, and hide it. So what we did is that actually we brought the cargo in there because the government is trying to sort out the issue between Nigeria and Force and that. So I think we should find a way of taking what we have, exporting it, and then in doing so, create jobs and reduce poverty because people come there and work. And before I sit down, Mr. Chairman, sir, I have a little don't see my things. So I think in doing that, right, in the infrastructure, value chain, and so on, and valuation that people have talked about, you have to say what you have. So in that paper, I was talking about tourism, and what I did, I had one slide. It was a total of 6 slides in the paper. And one slide had the Maasai man, Maasai, and the Fulani man. They showed them, on one slide. They are both tall, they both wear, they carry stick, they dance, and the monkey. The Maasai travels from Masai Mara to wherever he goes 200 kilometers. He lives on his cows, he drinks blood, they sold it to the world, and we all go to Kenya. See, and they generated at that time in 2006, they were generating about $700 million US. So if you take only 1%, 1%, $700 million for the town. Fulani man travels from Sokoto to Port Harcourt, which is a farther distance, 1,000 kilometers. He wears beads, he carries beads, he dances. It's all place we sell our own. So we should sell our own. We should sell even the Castle Training College, the Kusugu, the Dambe, the Shadow, the Pillow Polo, and all of this. We should sell our own and then create the tourism potential of the land and get our people to get employed again. Thank you. Can I have number 2? You know, I dare say that I think the message of last week, I appreciate this. There's a lot of things. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for giving me the opportunity. The Plateau of His Excellency, and other members of the High Table, and fellow participants. Good afternoon, and assalamu alaikum. My name is Amir Kanado. There is no doubt that agricultural sector is the major provider of jobs. Even though in those days it was a nasty, but really now it has changed. It's not the nasty, but the major provider of job creation. I have noticed 3 things in our well-to-do people in Ghana will key into, I believe, poverty will seriously be mitigated. Mr. Chairman, let our well-to-do personnel in Ghana engage into mechanized farming. Suppose up to now, our farmers are still subsistence, using whole, primitive. We go on mechanized, whereby a simple producer can produce millions of tons that can be a job that can provide supplies to many companies. That's agro-allies. That's one. 2, our people also have to key into establishing processing industries. These British industries, I think people will agree with that during the high peak of tomato production, you see how farmers are using a lot of fruits. They are not, because there are small package processing plant around. If you also observe during the production, high peak of production of mangoes, those in the areas of Bengal, they know how mangoes are being produced when at its peak time, and you see them damaged or rotting because there are no processing industry around. So if our world will key into establishing these industries, I believe poverty will be mitigated. We have had enough of petrol stations, Mr. Chairman. We have had enough of petrol stations. Let our world invest in these areas. Then equally, Mr. Chairman, let those in authority collect, improve operation of zakat, and distribute it according to the will. Actually, in Korea, this also will really go down to reduce poverty in the sense. And the guest speaker has spoke that when you will meet with the tertiary head of tertiary institution. So we will go to the tertiary institution. Mr. Speaker, guest speaker, the guest speaker, please. The guest speaker, I think the tertiary institution. Okay, I have the guest speaker. I had to presentation that you will meet up with the head of tertiary institution, particularly to bring some entrepreneurship skills into the curriculum. So maybe you can go to the university or college of education, but for the past 15 years, it has been on. Since I came 2015, it has been on. One was that one skill or the other. But the problem is that we have to change the mindset of our youth, because they are considering that as a third-class trait. How can I have a degree, a bachelor diploma, a higher bachelor, and what I do in my hand? So they are taking that as education. So you have to change the mindset that you should learn skill so that you can be a job provider yourself.
Thank you. You see, we are all emphasizing of mechanized agriculture. But there are some criticisms. You cannot mechanize agriculture by merely saying so. It requires investment. It requires commitment. So please, as we make our recommendation, let us also put in a word on how we expect the resources required for those recommendations realization to be sourced. Lady number 3.
Sunana Kttv shugaban taron na Katsina Consultative Forum da wakiltar gwamnan jihar Katsina da kuma wakiltar shugaban kasa tsohon janar Muhammadu Buhari wakilan Katsina da Daura masu halartar taro. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Hakika mun ji daɗin wannan taro kuma mun yaba da shi. Katsina Consultative Forum tana ƙoƙari sosai. Saboda a dalilin Katsina Consultative Forum shekarar da ta wuce da aka ɗauko taken matsalolin shaye-shayen jihar Katsina, daga nan ne mu kuma muka ce ma insha Allah za mu ga me za mu iya yi. Da taimakon Katsina Consultative Forum muka buɗe ƙungiya mai suna Anti-Cross Campaign Network. Ƙungiya ce da haɗa ƙungiyoyin da ke yaƙi da shaye-shaye da hana fataucin miyagun ƙwayoyi a jihar Katsina, wanda kuma muka yi haɗaka da kuma hana sha da fatauci da duk wasu ƙungiyoyi da suke Katsina, wanda muka kai ziyarori a ofisoshin gwamnati irin su ministries haka da ofis ɗin matar gwamna, wanda da taimakon Allah muka samu ana ci gaba da wayar da kan al'umma. To amma abu ɗaya shine muka duba, ba wai dai shaye-shayen bane ko safarar miyagun ƙwayoyi da yake da matsala. Idan ka hana mutum aikata wani abu, ni za ka mai da gurbin shi da shi wanda zai daina. Wanda yanzu haka muna da matasa guda 20, akwai guda 4 mata, akwai guda 16 maza, wanda mun yi ƙoƙari mun ga an daina harkar suna shan miyagun ƙwayoyi da fataucinsu, wanda sati 2 da ya wuce akwai guda 1 wadda aka aure da ita, wadda muke fatan ta zauna a gidan auren nan. Mun masa alƙawarin za mu ba ta jari domin ta dogara da kanta, sannan kuma su ma sauran matasan muna tunanin me za mu ba su wanda zai sa ba za su sake komawa wancan ba. Mun ji daɗin taken wannan shekara da Katsina Consultative Forum ta ɗauko a kan yaƙi da talauci da fatara, saboda dama muna son da a daina wasu abubuwa dole sai an yaƙi talauci da fatarar nan. To amma ina kira ga shugabannin wannan taro da ma wanda ba su zo nan wurin ba, musamman wasu 'yan kasuwa da ba su halarci nan ba, ya kamata mu zo a samu wasu kamfanoni a buɗe don a samu matasa su samu abubuwan yi domin kauce ma ayyukan laifi. Sannan ina da wani roƙo guda ɗaya, ina son Katsina Consultative Forum da gwamnatin jihar Katsina su duba al'amarin almajirai. Harkar luwaɗi ta yi yawa ga yaran mu almajirai. Almajirai ana ta luwaɗi da su, bayan dama ana amfani da su wurin sayar da ƙwaya, su kai sabon ƙwaya su an so kuɗi ko a ba su kuɗi su sau ƙwaya. To yanzu matsalar luwaɗi ta zama abin da yake cutar da almajiran nan, banda irin yanayin da suke ciki. Ya kamata a duba wannan al'amari. Bayan ana yi da su ya kajin nan su ma yi suke. Sannan in muka duba almajiran nan su ne muke aike ce bane, su suke mamu shara da wanke, su suke wasa da yara. To matsala ba almajirai kaɗai ta tsaya ba, ta tsaya da mu duka muna da ƴaƴa, ko ba mu da ƴaƴa muna da ƙanne. Ya kamata a duba wannan al'amari. Lissa ta rufe shi.
Hajiya kin yi maganganu masu ma'ana ƙwarai da gaske, kuma abin da muke fata shi ne idan aka zo taro na gaba, ya kamata shi shugaba a cikin batun da zai kawo ya kawo rahoton abin da aka yi a kan ƙudurorin da aka cimma a tarurruka ko taron baya, wanda zai ke baka. To sai na I would like to briefly talk about or comment on two issues. One, concerning a point raised by our speaker with regard to outdated curriculum. Sir, I want to remind us that at national level, under the Federal Ministry of Education, we have a parastatal, NERDC, Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council. This council is saddled with the responsibility of developing curriculum of all subjects being taught at primary and secondary schools. I am privileged to be a spokesperson for NERDC for close to a decade now. NERDC draw its resource persons from primary school teachers, secondary school teachers, colleges of education, and universities. We go there, develop, critique, and do all whatever, and they are these objectives themselves as far as the development of the work. However, the major challenge is state governments are not purchasing the curriculum from NERDC to bring them down to the consumption for students at the state level. I got the privilege of participating in study tour with participants of Command and Staff College Judges, National Defense College, to various states, most especially in the southern part of Nigeria. My experience informed me, sir, that it is unfortunate that it is the northern states that do not patronize this kind of development, and more particularly we in the northwest. The State government under Management was able to achieve a lot in getting the most updated curriculum. It's the responsibility of the state government to go there and purchase and come and make sure that both private and public schools, primary and secondary schools, those curriculums are being used and utilized. So please, at the community drafting committee of this important gathering, should look into it. It reminds the state government that on each Ministry of Education should be purchasing rebuild curriculum. However, what you said is true that what is being used is outdated one. Then the second issue I want to make comment on here is that I'm a student of history. The industrial revolution that started, that brought us to the stage of development we are today, the use of AI started from an agricultural revolution in Britain. All students of history are aware of it. In other words, agriculture is the key sector as mentioned by previous presenters and commentators. But government alone cannot achieve that. As rightly pointed out by Alejandro there, the important personality, the rich people in our community must complement government efforts to key into this agricultural sector for to a large extent reducing the poverty rate in the places. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think there is one thing which you said that I want to take you on. You said it is the responsibility of the state government to go and purchase. If they don't go, what can the institution come to say?
They are sending even later to state government, but when I start the state government is not
Now it tells you as an person and somebody that is aware of this problem, we ask you, please see that you thank you very much. I think is it the last? I don't know, the gentleman's group, yeah. Number 5, and the last, yes. No. You. Okay, well, number 5, okay. Apologies. Number, yeah, I'm coming to you. You, then you. Excuse me, let him block. Let him do it. I want to come this way. Please don't worry, you will do it. I want to
about this, I don't want to be zigzagging. We are here, so after this, we come to give them to you in the final. I'm really very excited about part of this program. I think it's like but actually, one important thing is the issue of stakeholder communication. I was watching the presentation by Malam Hassan, discussing everything, but one important element that has not mentioned is the relevancy of stakeholder discussion within the community. And I think this is one of the gaps that this particular forum is really looking. Because when we discuss poverty as well, poverty is a product of underdevelopment. And underdevelopment comes from various elements. And I think this particular topic that we discussed, I was privileged to be part of the National Institute of Policy and Strategy in 2016, where when directed my course, studying the institution that are making poverty and how they can be strengthened. So I was privileged to be part of those who have made the basic products. Also privileged to travel with colleges abroad, also some African countries, including also states, of which Kaduna State was part of the state that some of my members are used to visit. And one thing that came out from that study group that we visited was a high appreciation as of what they have seen, what they can do, and in terms of our preparedness to these skills. But they are and they were telling us that they would like to be the best use development activities that they have seen in the country. So which means that provides us with their what is given in this so that they should know that process. To ensure that they are really utilize the activities. Well, and another element that clearly came out was also planning over Mother Bello, which is the issue of a big gap, which is the issue of monitoring and evaluation of our policies and strategies. The current element of what's happening now is that monitoring and evaluation, even monitoring is usually by the government. But like your lawyers say, you cannot be a judge in your own case. So which means this kind of forum can support effective monitoring and evaluation. And finally, what I just want to flag is when we talk of development, especially for the government sector, I think there are two or three things that must be there that we will do. One is the issue of the synergy. Synergy of all the key actors and sectors of the government in development policy. The first speaker has highlighted so many areas where you need to work. Go that across the board. But all those things cannot happen without activity. So synergy is very critical, and I'm happy that this government has put that as the state development management board, which is expected to bring those technologies
name is Dr. Aliyu Mohammed. I'm going to discuss from the perspective of a teacher whose education has liberated him from poverty. The subject of discussion is strategies for combating poverty. I want to submit that there is a very strong connection between poverty and elitism. And I'm happy the guest speaker has dwelt so much on the building fortunes of education and other challenges that really leads to poverty that we in the state. And as a rider to most of the discussions from the statements, where they have identified the inabilities of the farmer, the lack of motivation, the lack of awareness, access to finance, the inability to take advantage of the fiscal, so-called cotton, etc., etc. I think it has to do with literacy. Unless we are able to make a connection between lack of awareness and lack of ability to take advantage of our economic situation, we are going to get it right. Now, the guest speaker has pointed out one important aspect that could help the organizers of this discussion to chart a roadmap that could lead to coming to a strategy that would abate poverty in the state, functional education. Now, I was privy to be part of discussion that gave rise to the current 2024 National Certificate Education Framework. And I saw how so many groups march in and take advantage of their professionalism to make inputs into our work so that we'll be able to capture their interest in implementation form. And I'm grateful because some of their inputs led to the inputs of putting mentorship and entrepreneurship into the curriculum of NCE that we are practicing today. So my challenge is that the Constitution Forum should find a way of making their submissions and getting ready to influence policies of government and other discussions that will lead to the implementation of other curricular frameworks that are being taken place throughout Nigeria today. At the end, I want to say that until organizers get down from the high level and be part of the process of making education functional, we are still going to be going round and round. The farmer, the unskilled worker in the streets needs to know that there is a connection between what he's doing and the level and the type of education that he needs to get so that we will get out of the poverty that is in the state of the child. Thank you. The gentleman of the back there. Yeah, you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to speak. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Sadel Halil Mashi. I'm a lecturer in the Department of Adult Education and Community Services by University of Kano. The paper presented by the presenter is well presented, but I would like to speak on one of the missing issues. I think the missing issue is humanity. Both discussions are talking from an economic point of view. We forget about humanity who are affected by this poverty and related constructs. The statement I would like to make is whoever is committed to addressing poverty, illiteracy, and backward, I think must enter into communion with the people. What I'm saying here is that we have to tap from the skills, from the experience, and the motivation of those people who are affected by poverty. They should not be counted out. They should be the center of the issue. And on the comment on education, apart from outdated curriculum we are all making comments on, the problem is we always teach our children, young people,
people how to swim on a bare floor. By the time you teach young people and children how to swim on bare floor, when it is flooding, it will all wash them away. So they cannot have the capacity to fight poverty, to fight illiteracy, and to fight the related issues that are taking them backward. So I would like to say that whoever is committed to addressing poverty, 4 things are very important in helping young people who are majorly affected by poverty. One of the issues is about action, practice, and then real dialogue, engaging them to hear from them, and then finally talking about really empowerment. What is this really empowerment? Real empowerment is about people understanding the cultures, the structures, the institutions, the processes that are preventing them from being liberated from this poverty and related construct that are affecting them. And on the issue of skills, this issue of skills is always very important. I think all over the place, the universities, the polytechnics are now trying to introduce this skill development. It is very critical. I have a story to give. I was once going somewhere. I met a white man. He actually asked me, young person, what are you doing here? Yes, I told him that I'm pursuing a PhD. He said, that's too much. I told him the nature of my job requires that I need to have that qualification for me to progress. Then he said, listen, that go and learn the skill of plumbing. Go and become a plumber. That will be best for you. And he told me from his experience, he said, listen, and he earned more than David Cameron as Prime Minister as of that. So it is very key for us to focus on these people, to give them skills, to give them knowledge that will make them be very functional. I think that is the statement I would like to make. So let's start from the energy, from the experience of these marginalized people. Otherwise, poverty will continue to flourish in our own society. Thank you.
I hope you told him when he asked you to go and learn that. I know you told him you are from Nigeria, not English.
Members of the High Table, I would like to stand on the existing protocol. The issue we are discussing is not news to us. If you look at it, for many years, Kaduna has been doing it. Lagos has been doing it. But when you look at the attendance there, compared to what we have here, we still have a long way to go. But the truth of the matter is that the government, their presence is highly important, because if you want to bring investment, you must be there. I want to advise the deputy governor, please, if we cannot initiate, let us copy. What do I mean by copy? Look at what led up to our audit to come. You constructed over 30 years. No bridge. Why do the state construct bridge instead of dam? From Korbit Terrace we have 2 bridges, which is not needed. The cost that would cost you to construct a bridge is enough to construct a dam. If you look at it, you have only 4 months of rainfall, 8 months of irrigation. The poverty level of Kano is high because they have irrigation. From Korbit to Malgani, we have 4 bridges. We don't need them. Let the state government stand. When you are constructing the road, please stop constructing bridge. Instead of bridge, construct it, block the water. That will increase the irrigation. And you see the animal will have water, the water, and you will have so many things. The second day, when you come to the animal, please let us liaise with our local dealers. Because if you go to most of this market, go to all this market, you will see that those who are down to the ground approach you to the So we need to come closer to liaise to see that we harness all this and add value to it. Let us trade. We produce the
Thank you very much. I think the last person in this stanza of the dialogue. But before I invite the special guest of honor for his comment, the chairman of the forum has asked that he should be given 2-3 minutes to talk. So, Mr. Chairman, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. After not a question, really discussion. I always one appreciate the guest speaker, very rich, very actually, why I see those many books, I want to assure you, only accept that and discuss really all of it, or please, I just about and very so, basically, have a phone and then give solutions to the FTU so that we can come together and develop a blueprint for this. And not just the boards and let go. Actually, like yes, we can say, I want to ask you that if April 100, it means 70 people. So if you ever say, have to come together, put our resources, our experts and everything on the table to see that we did something about this world. So the guest speaker and other discussants we should expect them to thank you to have a good time so that we can do that way. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Now, we are reaching the end of the exercise, and I titles. Having the sorry for those who may wish to have spoken. I was going to say, already is on the great ceremonies. It is now my privilege, honor, to respectfully invite His Excellency, the one and only President Muhammadu Buhari GCFR, the immediate past president, very ably represented by Senator Arvin Serika, the former Minister of Aviation, and my colleague in the red chair, although
Excellency and Precious Chairman, sir, this is an address of President Muhammadu Buhari, Grand Commander of the Order of the Republic of Nigeria, or President of the Republic of Nigeria, to be read by me. So when you hear I means him, and whatever I read is in quotation. So I will begin, and then of course we'll go agree that protocols are established. So I am adopting on his behalf. And here the speech will begin the course. I am delighted to be here today on the occasion of the second edition of the Senate Annual Dialogue organized by the Senate Consultative Forum. I commend the forum for its commitment to providing a platform for vibrant exchanges of ideas and challenges confronting our society. I recall the first edition of the dialogue last year with its focus on the menace of drugs and substance abuse, and congratulate the forum for the modest achievements recorded since then. As just edition of the dialogue, Strategies for Poverty and Education in Katsina State, addresses one of our most pressing challenges in Nigeria, poverty. For too long, poverty has limited the development potentials and opportunities of our people in spite of our great economic potentials. Having listened to the illustrating presentation of the guest speaker, I believe we have a basic outline of what strategies should be adopted in our continuous quest to address the menace of poverty. Of course, there has never been shortage of ideas and strategies for tackling poverty in all areas of Nigerian history. Only that our past efforts have not succeeded in delivering the ambition of eradicating it. Nevertheless, in today's modern world, there is need for our strategies to include focus on innovative, data-driven initiatives that have shown success in other regions of the world. Our approaches must be comprehensive, target both immediate needs of the poor and the structural factors that keep them in poverty. Considering the distinctive characteristics of our society, key elements of successful strategies include the following. Number 1, empowering the agricultural sector, including agro-processing initiatives and digital tools. Number 2, investing in education and skills development, including particularly higher childhood education programs and technical and vocational training. Number 3, leveraging renewable energy to boost economic growth. Number 4, building resilient and affordable health care systems. Number 5, enhancing social safety nets through such programs as conditional cash transfers, CCTs, and community-based savings groups. Enrollments. Encouraging local entrepreneurship, including through encouraging and facilitating incubation hubs for startups and market access to local products. Number 7, community involvement and ownership of any strategies being favored will be crucial to its success. It is worth stressing that poverty education requires long-term commitment and effective collaboration between and among all stakeholders, including government, private sector, civil society, and most importantly, the people themselves. Each of us has a role to play in this journey. With the right policies and unwavering dedication by our government, complemented by support of the well-to-do in our midst, I am confident that we can achieve a lot towards the future of prosperity, dignity, and opportunity for our people. Thank you very much for your commitment to this vital cause, and I look forward to seeing the impactful changes that will arise from our collective efforts. May God bless the state and our entire nation as we strive towards a brighter, poverty-free future. Thank you for listening, and of course, I'm sure it's that all the concerns by the lead paper, the discussant, yourself, and then the two other gentlemen there, somehow come here. Thank you.
You know, I was wondering if Mr. President saw what was to be said. So please convey our thanks to him. We appreciate him and we appreciate you. I think we have come to that was the first part of the climax. May I now
chairman of this committee. Chairman, also to the former president of the represented by the distinguished Senator His Excellency the guest speaker, and representative, the Senator having two capacity as well in his personal capacity and the chairman of this okay, and again of this Casina. I was trying to organize the representation of the area of so this is sorry. I distinguish the organizers of this occasion, I want to commend you most sincerely for your efforts. For trying to have us all together here. Yesterday, we had something similar at the annual Sedona lecture at the hillside, where equally scholars were converged and a number of prominent personalities were present. There were presentations, and there were suggestions, and I think you should find a link between this forum and that, because they are all focusing on Katsina. And that was just happened yesterday. And they said, that of yesterday, they say it was the second annual seminar. And the previous seminar they had last year, they were able to publish it in a book, and it was distributed yesterday. And I learned equally here, it is the second dialogue. So you see, you have a twin brother in the annual Sedona lecture of Katsina. Now, the agriculture, like it has been mentioned here, almost all the speakers and discussants, in one way or the other, did mention about agriculture. So it's just a matter of semantic to say that it is the mainstay, the major, whatever, but then it is very glaring and clear. The state government, under the distinguished leadership of His Excellency, has a plan on agriculture itself. And it was started, the implementation was started. One of the contributors did mention about extension worker in order to improve agriculture. Now, the state government this year appointed 361 extension workers
to serve each and every ward. We have 360 wards in this state. And the ceremony was conducted here in front of the government house, the People's Square. They were provided with a motorcycle to ease their mobility and accessibility, and other necessary support to ease their own activities and exercise. Not only that, the agriculture that we are talking about, the rainy season agriculture, last year, the state government subsidized about 400,000 bags of assorted fertilizer to farmers. And this month, equally with respect to dry season agriculture, the state government have procured 4,000 solar-powered pumping machines and 4,000 power tillers. And it designed a community development committee to support and organize the process of distribution, trying to converge the farmers in form of groupings for purpose of optimal utilization of the inputs. And not only that, for the dry season equally, you have 80 trucks of assorted fertilizer to support the irrigation facility. And there is equally a plan in place towards mechanization of agriculture. There is an intention to have a group and centers in the respective locations of the state in order to facilitate and support to drive the process of transformation. Now, somebody did mention of value chain addition. I think we are equally along that. A lot is in that regard. Just this year, this December, the government or the governor approved the establishment of Trade Facilitation Center. In fact, the funds has been provided, and it is going to kickstart by the beginning of the next year, that is 2025. And all issue of value chain addition, of export and whatever, the center is expected to work along that line. And with respect to coordination and implementation, now this is the first time the state government has a special advisor on project implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. Now, not only that, the issue of development, like someone has mentioned, the executive secretary, Katsina State Development Board, was elevated to that office to participate in the council, the state executive council. Well, because of the importance of coordination, the executive secretary remained there in attendance, taking part in all the major decisions affecting the state. Not only that, equally the Kttv State Enterprise Development Agency have an advisor there, is equally a member of the council in attendance for it because of the importance of that activity. So in a nutshell, there's a lot I wouldn't want to take much of our time, it's getting late, but just by way of making a briefer information on what is happening at the level of state government. And all that is happening, we are still counting, it's just the beginning. And like the governor has said, I am reiterating what he has said, that the door of the government is still open. With respect to education, equally, currently there is a committee in place to advise government on the way of improving education in the state. And still, the door is open. We are expecting input from whoever and from wherever, if any. And like I said, let me stop here because there's a lot to be said. But then I want to mention and once again commend the organizers of this important forum, because as an individual or as an institution, whenever you miss the opportunity, someone telling you this is correct, this is wrong, then you are lost. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his infinite mercy, he did mention that. وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ. There should be among the people calling for the right thing to be done and for the wrong thing to be abandoned. And أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. So, the forum, this is in essence what we are doing, And we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to support you and support us all in this gigantic project of moving Katsina State forward. So, on behalf of His Excellency, the Governor of Katsina State, I will once again thank each and every one of us here for the various contribution and for the support. I will still say that the door of the government is always open for support and the contributions. Thank you, sir.
The governor stood up and the president did so. So I think as my final action in this, because after this I will hand over to the MC to invite for the vote of thanks. They have spoken, you can't speak anymore. But you have the privilege of saying thank you very, very much for being very good audience, for being very good participants. It is not really, if anybody, I know many people would have liked to speak, but because of time, so please, those whom I say no, 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 it was not personal. And if you feel offended, please, I'm very sorry. But then, please, one thing that interests me, since we started, I have been watching the door. I had not seen anybody walking out. Please, a clap for yourself. So thank you very much, the organizers, Mr. Chairman, and others, for giving me the opportunity to serve in this capacity. And I want to assure you that what we are doing is a terrain we have gone through many times over. We still have something to offer, and we will, inshallah. Let us resolve that this is just the beginning, or rather the end of the beginning. Allah Ubangiji ya taimake mu baki ɗaya, Allah ya taimaki gwamnatin Katsina, Allah ya taimaki jama'ar Katsina, Allah ya taimaki mutanen Najeriya. Na gode, na gode, na gode. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Nobody please put your hands together for him. I think my job was partly done by the chairman. I also want to thank you for that. The last happened to offer Mara, the chairman of Kttv, the vote of thanks. The secretary of the forum, the do that, but before there is a one-minute announcement. That is the respect of what is prepared for us here. There is food for everyone. I think that I included other people here. I want to say this in Hausa so that everyone also will understand. We decided there will have two roles for the Allah Commander to the office to the Dr. I pray that we cooperate so that each one of us will have seamless access to the venue and for connection with the food. It's in abundance, I can assure you. So, I table the government of the Community, the Kuma, Ro, the Air, Hazu, and India. I table. Some also offer sorry. Daily na ɗaya zuwa da shida. Sannan ɗaukar kofa na ma akwai abinci fara kowa zai samu. To Allah will lead us to open so that we don't have a hard when you have a hard in the many that usually a hard in the second level of the home and that is the full access. So friendly for operating as I think we are people coming to the sector of the home. And before then, the secretary has mandated me to make this very clear announcement that beyond the Sardona conference yesterday, which the representative of the secretary has announced, and in addition to the one that we are holding today, there is another prominent organization in the form of hospitality development initiative. They are speaking about fighting poverty headlong. So it is their hope that the board will continue into the program so that together we can have a solid and harmonized plan for continuing monster.
It is with great honor that I stand here once again on behalf of Kttv Consultative Forum to express our appreciation as we bring the 2024 annual dialogue to a close. The thought-provoking and diverse perspectives shared today have provided invaluable insights and actionable solutions to this pressing issue. First and foremost, we extend our deepest appreciation to our chief host, His Excellency for his unwavering support and commitment to the initiative. It has been instrumental in making this event a reality. You have undoubtedly affirmed your dedication to the advancement and prosperity of the country. We are equally grateful to our father and special guest of honor, represented by Senator Hadi Sirika. They are active and consistent involvement in this dialogue. It is a testimony that your commitment to the development of the state and the well-being of its people is well recognized. We remain honored by your continued support and further guidance. The chairman of the occasion, an accomplished banker, an outstanding businessman, a seasoned public servant, and a higher-ranking traditional leader, we owe a debt of gratitude. Your work of experience and wisdom has served as a beacon of guidance throughout this event. On behalf of the Community Initiative of the Kttv Consultative Forum, we thank you for your invaluable contribution. To our distinguished guest as well of the international review and the question of private sector business economy, we truly are grateful for your work and the practical implementation. Your lecture will serve as a guiding framework in our collective fight against poverty. By discussions, your insightful contributions have reached the dialogue immeasurably. Their diverse expertise and practical perspectives have broadened our understanding of complexities of poverty and strategies needed to combat it effectively. To all contributors during the interactive session, your invaluable suggestions and recommendations will serve as an added impetus in drafting the communique. We assure you that every constructive idea shared will be given the attention it deserves. For attendees and invited guests, the presence here today is amplifying a shared commitment to the future development of the state. We are inspired by our passion and look forward to building on the momentum generated during this transformative year. On behalf of the Kttv Consultative Forum, I thank you all for being an integral part of the success of this occasion. This is carrying forward ideas and resolutions will have developed for the benefit of our country and its people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And that marks the end of this program. But before we go for the national anthem, I want to invite Everything Katsina to kindly lead us in a closing prayer. Everyone is ready. الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه وما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض لا يؤوده اللهم زينا بزينة الإيمان وجعلنا هداة مهتدين على ربك رب العزة عما يصفون سلام على المرسلين الحمد لله. Sorry, before the national anthem, may I please make this announcement? Please exercise just 1 minute patience. We are going to have a photo session, and that will be in 2 categories. The first one will be the discussants. So I expect that the discussant kindly move up to the high table and take one. And then I will invite Aminu Musa, Ayubu Shuaibu, Bello Abajay, Sagir Musa, Alatu Isa, Mutakara Bedarma, Farooq Aminu, Law, Sadet Daura, Menasara Kobo, Mustafa Aragua, Sanusi Baladuza Mashu, Ilu Barde, and Yakubu Sanis. So Mr. Chairman, sir, these are the people behind the success of this event. So after the first photo shot with the discussant, this next group will go and will go to the food. Please, discussants, stand.